information concerning Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions in Horizon 2020, and in particular some specific information concerning individual fellowship and widening fellowship, just like Wojciech said a minute ago. Our presentation is built around four main topics. First, I'm going to give you some introduction and basic information concerning Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions in general. Later on, you will hear some specific information, details concerning individual fellowships. Later on, we are going to talk about a little bit of statistics concerning some chosen widening countries, and later on, specifics concerning widening fellowships. To start with the general and most important information concerning all Marie Skłodowska-Curie action projects. The main objective of Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions is to ensure optimum development and dynamic use of Europe's intellectual capital in order to generate new skills, knowledge, and innovation. This is done by the European Commission by promoting attractive working and employment conditions, by implementing the European Charter for Researchers and Code of Conduct for the recruitment of the researchers. Second, development of innovating training schemes, especially for young researchers, by training on various research domains and on complementary skills, organizing and funding conferences and seminars. Third, enhancement of academic and non-academic cooperation by funding and organizing employment and secondments, joint research activities, and different training. And the fourth, dissemination of research results and popularization of science by publications of research results and engagement in outreach activities. These activities must be included in each and every Marie Skłodowska-Curie action project. Of Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, first of all, what is funded by the European Commission under this program? So, all domains of research and innovation, from basic research to market take-up and innovation services. The second important feature is so-called bottom-up approach. It means that the European Commission doesn't provide any topics. There are no specific areas for call topics. It means that each and every call for proposals, every research area, every domain is welcome, every domain is financed by the European Commission. And what domain is there, what concerns a particular project, this is up to the institution or researcher submitting the proposal. And the third feature is funding and enhancing the career development of researchers in Europe by training and transfer of knowledge through research. Second, who may take part in Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action Project and who may implement the project. So researchers of any nationality. In RISE projects, not only researchers, but in general staff members. It means researchers, managers, administrative and technical personnel supporting projects research and innovation activities. And very important feature and very important information, there are two categories of researchers, ESR and ER. These are early stage researcher and experienced researcher. Later on, I will give you information what is the difference and who is the early stage and who is the experienced researcher. And third, where the project may be implemented in all types of organizations from academic and non-academic sector, so universities, research institutes, companies, hospitals, NGOs, foundations, etc. Countries, there are three categories of countries: member states of the European Union, countries associated to Horizon 2020, and so-called third countries, meaning all the others. There is very important eligibility condition, international mobility. As for the institutions, there are two groups, two categories of institutions, academic sector and non-academic sector. So the academic sector are those institutions, public or private higher education institutions awarding academic degrees, public or private non-profit research organizations, and international European interest organizations. Non-academic sector are all the others. Institutions from both sectors, academic and non-academic, may be beneficiaries or partner organizations in the project, in the project consortium. These are the differences. Beneficiaries sign the grant agreement with the European Commission. They are responsible for executing project activities, proposed research and training program, and they employ researchers. Partner organizations do not sign the grant agreement with the European Commission. They are involved in training and secondments. They do not employ researchers, and the expenditure is covered by a beneficiary. As for researchers, there are two groups of researchers. As you already know, researchers of any nationality can implement the project. They can be employed by the host organizations. And two groups, early stage researchers and experienced researchers. Early stage are those who have less than 4 years of research experience, and they do not have the PhD degree yet. Experienced researchers are those who have more than 4 years of research experience, or they already hold the PhD degree. This is the main difference, and this is very important information because various projects, various Marie Skłodowska-Curie projects, different projects are for different groups. Some of the projects are only for early stage researchers, and some of them are for experienced researchers only. These are the 5 types of projects within the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. First is individual fellowships. Second is RISE, Research and Innovative Staff Exchange. Second, ITN, Innovative Training Networks. Co-fund, which is co-funding of regional, national, international programs, and Researchers' Night. The first one is individual. So the researchers apply directly to the European Commission in cooperation with hosting organization in European Union or in associated country. All the others are for institutions, for consortia, which means that institutions apply to the European Commission and later recruit researchers. This is budget of Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions for the whole Horizon 2020. So for the years from 2014 up to 2020, as you can see, more than 6 billion euro. The biggest part, the biggest share is for ITN, and the second is for individual fellowships. What is important in Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions? Each year, there is one call for each action. There is single entry point, which is participant portal, and concerning evaluation criteria, there are 3 general criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. Here you can see calls. We have 2 more open calls this year and 4 calls next year, 2019. So the first deadline is 12th of September, which is for individual fellowships. And 2 weeks later, 27th of September, is deadline for co-fund. Next year, 2019, there are 4 calls for almost all the actions. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Adam, for this introduction to Marie Skłodowska-Curie action. Here is Magdalena Chomicka this time, and I'll give you a brief introduction to individual fellowships. Why are we focusing on individual fellowships since we are supposed to talk on widening fellowships? It is because the widening fellowships are, so to say, based on Maria Skłodowska-Curie individual fellowships. In terms of these fellowships, we have two types of fellowships: European fellowships with host institutions based in Europe, which means in either EU member state or Horizon 2020 associated country, or global fellowships with a mandatory outgoing phase in one of the third countries. But since we are focusing only on widening fellowships, I will be talking only on European fellowships, since only these fellowships are taken into account when applying later on to widening fellowships. So as you can see, we have the image of Maria Skłodowska-Curie, whose name has been given to these fellowships, as she was also a very good example of the mobility in research. So let's get started. We have 4 panels within European fellowships: standard, career restarts, reintegration, and society and enterprise. So as for standard fellowships, the applications are done and then the projects carried out within 8 scientific areas. As for the career restart panel, it is a multidisciplinary panel for researchers who would like to restart their research in Europe after a career break. It's either the maternity leave or work outside of research. So once the researchers would like to restart the career as researchers, they should apply to this particular panel. For researchers who were working outside of Europe in third countries for a longer period and who would like to come back to Europe and reintegrate into European research environment, for these people there is a special, also multidisciplinary panel, which is called the reintegration panel. And the last one, society and enterprise panel, also a multidisciplinary panel for researchers who would like to apply and carry out their research in a non-academic institution, in a non-academic host institutions. So once you plan to do your research outside of academia, you have to apply for this particular panel. So these are the 4 basic panels within Maria Skłodowska individual fellowships. And 3 important messages: what are the eligible researchers, eligible host institution, and a very important mobility rule, which applies to all the panels. So as for researchers, these fellowships are foreseen for experienced researchers, so researchers with research experience of more than 4 years, or those who are already holding a PhD degree. And this is also for researchers of any nationality coming from any country in the world. As for the nationality, there is one special rule for the reintegration panel, that the researchers have to be nationals or long-term residents of a member state or associated country. The host institutions need to be located in an EU member state or Horizon 2020 associated country. And also in terms of society and enterprise panels, these host institutions need to belong to the non-academic sector. So this panel is foreseen only for non-academic beneficiaries. And what is mobility rule? Mobility rule says in which countries you can carry out your research. So if you are doing your research in country A, you are probably not eligible to do your Maria Skłodowska-Curie project unless you are in conformity with the mobility rule. So the mobility rule says that the researcher must not reside or carry out his or her main activity, such as study or previous work, in a country of the host institution for more than 12 months in the last 3 years, prior to the call deadline, so prior to September 12th. This is the basic mobility rule, but for the panels of reintegration panel, career restart, and society and enterprise, this period is a little bit more extended. So these are 36 months in the last 5 years. As for budget, making the budget for these projects is the simplest budgetary issue in all Horizon 2020 projects. You just need to indicate the number of person-months you apply for, and then the budget calculation will be done itself. So we have two types of costs: research unit costs and institutional costs. Within the research unit costs are for the researchers, and they are divided into three categories: living allowance, mobility allowance, and family allowance. Living allowance is the basic salary for each researcher, and as you can see, it is marked in red here. Why? Because this amount is always corrected with a country coefficient for each country of the host institution. For example, if you would like to apply with a host institution in Poland, you would count for 75.5% of this amount. Mobility allowance is another monthly allowance connected with a physical mobility from one country to another. And family allowance is the special allowance for people who have families, so they're either married or in an equal relationship, or they have dependent children. So these are the costs for the researchers, and these are monthly numbers. And as for institutional costs, we have two groups. Firstly, there is the cost for research, training, and networking. So the cost connected with field work, with travels, with consumables and participation in conferences and trainings, and also cost for the institution connected to the management and indirect cost. And these are also the monthly numbers. How long can your project take? So it's the basic numbers from 12 months up to 24. With the exclusion of career restart panel, because starting from this year you can have project up to 36 months. So the project cannot be shorter than 12 months and basically longer than 24 or 36 months. And all costs, especially the researcher unit costs, are subject to mandatory deductions in each country, that means taxes and social security charges, and these costs vary from one country to another. And now we'll give back the voice to Adam, who will present some basic statistics on the performance of chosen widening countries.
Okay, thank you, Magda. As you can see in the first slide concerning the statistics, I am comparing four countries: Slovakia, Hungary, Czech Republic, and Poland, which are widening countries, with two very well performing countries in Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. As an example, Spain and United Kingdom. In the first slide, you can see the first graph concerning number of submitted proposals in the last call for proposals for individual fellowships, which was last year, individual fellowships 2017. And as you can see, Slovakia, researchers together with hosting institutions in Slovakia submitted 14 proposals, with institutions in Hungary 38 proposals, with institutions in Czech Republic 70 proposals, and with hosting institutions in Poland 73 projects. At the same time, in the same call for proposals, researchers together with Spanish hosting institutions submitted 1,134 proposals, and almost 2,000 proposals with hosting institutions in the United Kingdom. As you can see, the difference is huge. the differences between the widening countries are not so great, but the evident differences evident between the widening countries and well-performing countries. Similar situation is with the number of successful projects in the same call for proposals. So these are the fresh statistics. Only two proposals which are going to be financed in Slovakia, 2 in Hungary, 3 in Czech Republic, and 4 in Poland. And in the same time, 154 proposals in Spain and 328 proposals in the United Kingdom. So again, the difference is huge. This is why so important is this widening fellowship. This is why this is a great opportunity for the widening countries. As you can see, the success rate in this call for proposals doesn't show as big differences as the number of proposals and number of projects. As you can see, Slovakia has a very good success rate, 14%, same as Spain. A little bit more United Kingdom, but other widening countries have a little smaller success rate, for Czech Republic and 5% Poland and Hungary. So the differences are still visible, but they are not as big as concerning the numbers of projects and proposals. Similar situation is with the number of evaluators. I mean, 22, 60, and 38 evaluators from Slovakia, Hungary, and Czech Republic were evaluating proposals in the last call. 178 evaluators from Poland, and at the same time, 245 United Kingdom and 265 from Spain. So as you can see, more researchers are also active as evaluators from those well-performing countries. The last graph concerning statistics is showing the number of proposals eligible for the widening fellowship. These proposals are those which were not financed by the European Commission. They are below budget and they're they're in the reserve list. So all of them are eligible for the widening panel. As you can see in the right upper corner, just to remind you the number of successful projects within the widening countries. Slovakia has 2 successful projects, but 5 more projects are eligible for would be eligible for the widening fellowship if this was the case in now ongoing proposals. With Hungary, Hungary has 2 successful projects and 21 eligible for the widening fellowship. So that would be a big opportunity for Hungary. And it looks even better for Czech Republic because 45 proposals would be eligible for the widening fellowship. When comparing it to 3 successful projects in Czech Republic, this is a huge difference, huge opportunity, I would say. And 21 eligible proposals from Poland compared to only 4 successful projects in this individual fellowship 2017 call. So as you can see, this widening fellowship provides huge opportunity for these widening countries, and that's why I think it should be researchers and institutions from these countries should be very focused on the ongoing project and should take advantage of the opportunities provided by the European Commission, by the widening fellowship. Very unique opportunity. And now I'm giving the floor back to Magda.
Hello again. So now I'll tell you something more about the Widening Fellowship. So we have left the most important information for the end. So as you probably know, the Widening Fellowships were introduced as the response to the low number of success rates in individual fellowship calls submitted with host institution based in widening countries. So there were a lot of talks and possible solutions to that, and in the end, the European Commission has decided to introduce widening fellowships. The goals of these fellowships is firstly minimizing the gap between more and less performing countries, as well as increasing their participation in Horizon 2020 projects. The other aim is to attract the most talented researchers to the widening countries, as these countries are in general not as popular in terms of the direction for the mobility as the countries belonging not to this group. And also the aim was to trigger the brain circulation and knowledge exchange between European countries. These fellowships are not part of Maria Skłodowska-Curie Action's work program, but they are part of Spreading Excellence and Widening Participation work program of Horizon 2020, with the overall budget of 18 million euro for the upcoming 3 years, and with 5 million euro for the 2018 call. As an estimation, 35 proposals should be financed within this call, and based on the simulations of 2017 call, the minimum funding score should be around 99%. So what are the widening countries? As I said, there are less performing countries in research, and there are 15 EU member states: Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia, and 12 Horizon 2020 associated countries: Albania, Armenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Faroe Islands, former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Georgia, Moldova, Montenegro, Serbia, Tunisia, Turkey, and Ukraine. And here you can see how they are spread in the map of the world. And you have to keep in mind that when we are talking about widening countries, in terms of the widening fellowships, we are talking about the location of the host institution and not the origin of the researchers. So how it works. There are no separate call to which you have to apply, to which the researcher need to apply. The researcher applied to Maria Skłodowska-Curie individual fellowships, European fellowship call. And in the part A of the proposal, there will be special questions if the researchers applying with the host institution in a wider country, if they want to opt out from the widening fellowships call. So you can, by default, the researchers will participate in the pilot actions, but they can opt out. But no matter if they participate or opt out of the pilots, then they will not. This will not influence the scoring of the proposal and the evaluation. Also, the award criteria, the scoring and thresholds are the same as for individual fellowships. There are no other criteria, and applications which are scored above threshold and are not funded under individual fellowships called will be ranked into a widening fellowships call. It's also worth emphasizing that this takes into account also the reserve list. So researchers ranked on the reserve list need to consider if they want to participate in widening fellowships, or if they want to wait for the final results of individual fellowships and hope to be financed by Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions budget. You have to also keep in mind that there will be also no differences in financings. Once you apply for a particular amount of money, you will be awarded the amount of the grant, no matter if it's individual fellowship or widening fellowship. What is also important, there will be only one ranking list for all proposals. So no matter the panels, no matter the research areas in the standard fellowships, when it comes to widening fellowships, all proposals will be ranked together in one list. And at the end, I'd like to say that unfortunately, the widening fellows will not formally be considered as Maria Skłodowska-Curie fellows, since their fellowships will not be funded under this call. So at the very end, I would like to show you the place in the proposal, in part A of the proposal, where you can either participate or opt out from the actions. So it's point 5, call specific questions, where you can opt out from the actions unless you don't want to participate in the pilot call. So thank you for your attention, and in case you have any questions, you can contact us or your national contact point for Maria Skłodowska-Curie Actions. And if you have any questions now, we will open the chat facility soon, so you will be able to ask the questions directly to us.
Okay, thank you, Adam, for valuable knowledge in fellowships. So yes, now it's time for open session of questions and answers. So here you can write your question, and I think we will address each question one by one as they will appear. So yeah, we have plenty of time till 11. If it's necessary, we can stay even longer. If you have questions after 11, then also you can mail either Magda or Adam or me. I'm responsible here in NCP Poland for widening tools, so also I will do my best to help you. So please go ahead. You're here till 11.
We have the first questions. What are the consequences of a widening fellow grantee not to be a Maria Skłodowska-Curie fellow? Well, it's just they will not be considered as Maria Skłodowska-Curie fellows. They will not be considered as possible members of Maria Curie alumni associations. They will not receive also the Maria Skłodowska certificate fellow. So these are the so to say disadvantages. But still, they will be able to do the research funded from Horizon 2020 in Europe, and also the institutions will be the coordinators of Horizon 2020 project, but not Marie Skłodowska-Curie project.
Okay, we have a second question. If I understood your point correctly, submitting an MSCA IF proposal with included will not affect the awarded funding in any way. In other words, it is only about increasing the odds for countries like Poland. Well, if I understand your question correct, there is a separate budget for the Widening Fellowship. This budget does not affect the individual fellowship budget. This is a separate budget provided by the widening work program and widening participation part of the Horizon. So this will not lower the budget of Marie Curie individual fellowship, Marie Curie budget at all. And on the other hand, the submitted proposal, individual proposal, as it is, so with planned research and training and with planned budget, will stay unchanged. So it will be, if it will be financed under Widening Fellowship, it will be funded as it is with the same budget, the same all the details.
And here's another question. Researchers can opt out, but if not, the resubmission of the proposal is automatic. There is no extra submission to be made by the researcher or the host institution. I guess by the resubmission, you meant the redirection to the widening panel. Yes, if the researchers will not opt out, and if they apply with the host institution based in a widening country, and unless they are not on the main list, and their proposal is scored above threshold, but due to lack of budget, it's not on the main list. In this case, these proposals will be automatically redirected to widening fellowships. And at the end, the researchers will receive both the evaluations of the Marie Skłodowska-Curie individual fellowships, as well as the ranking on the widening fellowships list.
A researcher.
We have another question. Is there a limitation on the number of proposals submitted per widening fellowship call per researcher? In this case, the same rules apply as for individual fellowship, Skłodowska-Curie individual fellowship. So one researcher is allowed to submit only one proposal per call. So if a researcher submits more than one proposals, they will be approached by a research executive agency to decide which proposal should be ranked. If there is no consent, then the proposal that has reached the system as the first will be assessed. So again, the same rule as for individual fellowships, only one proposal per researcher will be ranked.
Another question, what about the limit per host institution? There is no limit for host institutions. So as many individual fellowships and widening fellowships as possible, as the institutions wishes, might be submitted with different research. No limitation here.
We have another question. The proposal goes into WF redirection on the condition that the host institution is located in a widening country. So there is no possible widening fellowship for a widening researcher applying for an IF in an advanced institution. Yes, I've mentioned when showing the map of widening countries that the widening fellowships refer to the country of the location of the host institution and not to the origin of the fellow. So the origin of the fellow does not matter. They can be widening countries' nationals. What matters is that they apply for the fellowships with the host institution in a widening country. So no widening fellowships possible with the host institution outside of the list of these countries.
Okay, meanwhile, while we are waiting for questions, please remember about questionnaire to fill it in once you get it, of course. And again, we will send you today's presentation. So still 5 minutes till 11. Okay, so we have no more questions. So once again, thank you for spending with us this hour. And in case of any questions, again, you can contact Adam, Magda, or me. So Adam, Magda, thank you once again for presentation, and I hope, yeah, see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye.